Today, I'm gonna go over every button on a Lexus NX 350 with this smartphone gimbal to show you what every button does. I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. Make sure you hit like and subscribe for more Lexus related content. And a big shout out to Mr. Bernier, who gave me my little Lexus pin that I'm wearing today with this suit. Okay, so as you can see, I have this red NX 350 F Sport Series 3. So let's just get right into it. So we're gonna start with the door handle because we'll kind of go left to right here. With this new smart handle design, we have a few things. So it's not really a button, but it is a button. We have to the left here, that little dimple that I call it. So that actually locks the car. So when the key is in our pocket, you can just touch it. It'll beep, you'll see a flash, and then it'll unlock. And then to unlock it, we just put our hand sort of in that little crevice there. Let's call it a crevice. And there's actually there's like a little pad in there too. You can't really see it, but you can feel it. There's like a little pad, and that's how you just squeeze that and open the door. Now, there is another little feature. So even though it's not a button, it's a lever. We'll just show that that is the lever to open it if you had a dead battery. And that gets engaged by popping this little cover off with the key. Or maybe don't use the key. I have a video on that. It is a lot easier to use something plastic, but that's how you open it up manually. We'll just open it up and we'll sort of start on this side door. So the first button we'll go over is the handle to get out. So what you do to get out is you just press with your thumb and indent it and it'll activate the door handle. A lot of times people will go automatically and try to pull it out. You can pull it out. That's like the way to get out if you have a dead battery, but you don't need to. You can just press in with your thumb. So it does take a little bit of getting used to. That's why I always leave this sticker on there for people. Actually, I haven't taken a single one of those off. So that just stays on there all the time and it's a lot easier to use. Beside that, we have our little control panel here, the little bezel. Each one of these is just a hard press down. So you can kind of see when you press it down for the window, there is a half click and then a full click. So the half click is what's gonna just roll down the window. The full click is that auto feature. So you're just gonna press that. And that's always been a great thing with luxury cars, is being able to just roll down the window just like that instead of having to hold each one separately. And then the main driver one has a little dimple there as well. Then we have the feature where we lock out all the other people from rolling down their windows. So when the car's on, you just press that. When the light is on, that means the other windows are locked out. So that means your passengers cannot roll down their windows. Then we have unlock and lock. Now lock has the light because, you guessed it, it doesn't make any noise because of the electronic handle. So unlock, no light. Lock has the light. There is no click noise. And there's also no, as you can see here, little thing that goes up and down or a light or anything. So really the only way to tell is on there. Then we have the left and right control for the mirror. And this is how you control the mirror, is this little 4 pad here, this little circle. And when you hit L, it'll be lit up. When you hit R, it'll be lit up. And then we have auto and fold the mirrors. Now, because I have the door open right now and the car off, it won't do that. I always leave it in auto because then the mirrors will fold in when you press lock. And this would just fold them in normally as well. So that's for that little bit. Then we have our memory settings. So to set the memory settings, you just press set and then press the button. I think you can also just hit set and then within a second hit the button. But I usually, when I set them, I usually hold the set and then press the button. So press 1, 2, or 3, and then it'll change the seat, steering wheel, and the side view mirrors all programmed to this. So make sure when you're setting those, you have the seat, the steering wheel, and the side view mirrors all to where you want it to be before pressing those, okay? Let's move to the inside of the car. Okay, so the first buttons as we get into the inside is actually gonna be on the side of the seat because they're the first ones I can see. So on here, we have forward and backward for the bottom of the seat. So it's always really easy to remember with Lexus because this one is shaped and in the same angle as the bottom of the seat. And this button is sort of like the backrest, and that's actually what moves the backrest, as you can see it moving. And then from there, we also have lumbar, and this one just has the 2-way lumbar. So you can tell because it has the little angle, or the little, I'm not gonna call everything a dimple, but it's kind of like a dimple. And that's for the lumbar in and out for your lower back. So the base also goes up and down and forward and back. backrest is just forward and back, and then the lumbar is just forward and back. Again, keeping with our left to right sort of movements here. So now we have our little dial for our vents. And if you go all the way to the right, you can actually feel a little click. And then if you go all the way to the left, there's another little click. And one side is open. So this is fully open right now, and this is fully closed. And you can feel it click in. And then we just have our up and down there. To the right, we have our odometer and trip, as well as our dimmer switch. And that's really nice because on some cars, it's sort of hidden like behind the steering wheel, where on this one, it's not. It's actually, right in the open. When you press it, it'll switch between odometer as well as trip, and then up and down for dimmer. Then we have below that gas door. So when you press that, it opens up the gas door. It is on the left side of the vehicle. And then we have the hatch. You can press and hold this to open up your hatch. And this is a lever, I get it, but it's still important to show. So pull this to open up your hood, and I'm just gonna quickly show you where the lever is for your hood. You're gonna look at the front of your beautiful red Lexus. It's sort of lined up with the emblem. So if you see, you can see I'm kind of reaching in right above the lever, right above the emblem. And all you do is just run your finger, like if you go like this, just run your finger in, you'll feel it, and then you can lift up as well. And just to give you an idea, that's what that lever looks like. So to show you, it's lined up with the Lexus emblem, and it's right there, okay? So there you go. Okay, so on the left of the steering wheel, we also have our signals, left and right, and then you'll see this little button here. So this is for the auto high beams. So that's the auto, that's sort of the one click forward, which is parking lights. Then we have the headlights, or the blue octopus, which a lot of people say. To the right, then we have our fog lights on and off. So off, on, and then there's a little light. So that, when that light is on, that's when the auto high beams are on. So pretty easy there. Okay, so up, down, lights are all on that one. Now for the smart steering wheel. Okay, so with the advanced touch steering wheel, there are some tips and tricks to not only get the most out of it, but also sort of just be able to customize it and that sort of thing. So we'll start on the left. So on the left side, you'll see once you put your thumb on any of the surface area on the steering wheel, it'll light up on the heads-up display. Now, if you sort of keep your thumb to the left or to the right, it'll show you from factory on the left, the next or seek buttons for music. The bottom will give you the voice command. And I think if you hold that when you have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, it'll even do the voice assistant for that. And then the top is just to get to your phone. So if someone's calling you, you can hit that to make a call, etc. To the right, we have a fixed button. So these are volume up and volume down, which is the same thing. When you put your thumb over it, it'll still show you. And then when you press it, it'll actually press. And actually it does a little cool animation. It'll just kind of like bounce there. And same with these buttons here. At the bottom of that, we have the different pages. So you could sort of press that to go from page 1, what I call it, to page 2. And on page 2, we still have left and right for previous and seek from factory. We have top for mode. So that's how you can switch from, Sirius XM to FM to AM to whatever you want to do. And then the bottom one would be to turn on and off audio. So you can actually see a little bit of color there. You can actually see green for on, and then that'll go away for off. Now you can hold that little page button, I don't know what else to call it, to delete messages. So like right now the car is off, it's telling me all these different messages. I can clear that screen by holding this, even though those aren't on the heads-up display. So we'll show how to customize this in a few minutes, but over to the right side. So on the right side, we have some other fixed buttons. We have the adaptive cruise control. So that's a super important one to be able to activate your cruise control. And don't forget, this car, along with most of the new Lexus models, you can do that even at like city speeds. And lane tracing assist, which is another feature you should just kind of always have on. I really like that one as well. Then from the factory, we have the following distance setting, and it's not car lengths like a lot of people think. So 4 is in 4 car lengths, 3 is in 3, 2 is in 2. All I could say is even 2 is way more than 2 car lengths. So 4 is a very far distance. And then we have modes. You can turn it so that instead of adaptive cruise control, it's just regular cruise control. So Lexus has made it really easy. If you wanted to use old cruise control, you can still just do that, which is cool. Then if we go to the other page, we can move and adjust this display. So we can adjust the heads up and down, which is great because if you hop in someone's car that's a lot taller than you, it's not going to be lined up properly. But also we can change what we see on the other screen. So what I mean by that is we'll have audio, we'll have navigation, boost gauge. So the boost gauge will show up again, mostly on the main gauge cluster, but some of it's up on the heads up as well. A G-force meter, gear position, a blank one, or fuel consumption, average speed, elapsed time. Those are pretty cool metrics to look at. The eco indicator, which just gives you a little graph, and then back to, you know, the driving support, which is like the cruise control and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool to be able to switch them. But we're gonna show you how to customize them and make them even better. Okay, so to customize the steering wheel, what we're gonna do is click the little gear sign in the bottom left corner. We're gonna scroll to Vehicle Customize, which has some cool settings in here. And we're gonna scroll down to Steering Switch. I don't know why they called it that here, but that's what we're gonna go with. Now, super important message for all Canadians. If you hit Options, you can turn on Winter Gloves mode. So if you're gonna have winter gloves on in your car and you wanna use the advanced touch features, turn that on because it makes it more sensitive. Super important. So let's start with the left side and I'll show you how to customize and my favorite setup for this. So here's the factory layout. It's actually laid out under audio. There's also a climate layout, which gives you things like temperature up and down. You can change the mode of your HVAC system. So if it's blowing on your legs, your face, defrost, etc. Temperature up, down, so you have the modes, and then to the right, you just have the circulation. So if it's coming in the car or out of the car. Or you have custom. So custom is pretty cool. So under custom, now I can actually touch the buttons here and decide what. So I'm gonna change the audio left and right because the other page has that. And for this one, I actually might do, there's some HVAC stuff here. A lot of times I do, let's say I wanna control the fan. So now I can do fan, and now left is down for fan speed, right is up for fan speed. And if I wanted to change the temperature ones, maybe we wanna do it so, I don't know, maybe we can just hit auto. So now we can have fan down, fan up, or auto for climate control, because I use that button sometimes. And now we just need one more. Maybe we'll just put it as actually that's audio mode. Maybe we'll just do it as air outlet mode. So now I have auto, so if I want to just click that, you know, climate control to be the set temperature that I always leave it at, then I could go, you know, lower and higher for fan speed. And if I decide I want to like turn on defrost or put on my legs or something, I can do that. So that's going to be the left side, and I'll show you what that looks like. For the right side, we have the same thing. So right now you have display left, right, heads up display up and down, which is pretty good. It sucks because it is nice having the display left and right. But I found out if you customize it, you can do some really cool ones here. So how I always do it is, and again, to each their own, I like that I can customize to have sport mode on my steering wheel. Then you could have normal mode as the right. So again, you could just go and turn it to normal drive mode. The bottom one, I put it as stop start. I thought that maybe I would use that sometimes, but now I'm actually really used to the stop start system. So I don't know, maybe I would change that in the future. And then the left one, I put to the camera view, which I think is really cool. So let me show you what those do now on the steering wheel. Okay, so now that we have the customization on, so let's just look at, so again, we still have on the left side, we still have the next track, the voice command, you know, the phone, that sort of thing. But now we've customized this page to be able to control like our fan speed. So we can crank up the fan speed. It shows us a little animation there. We can turn it down. We can just put it to auto, which is always super easy, where the car is gonna do all the thinking for us climate control wise. And if you override at fan speed, it kicks off the auto. And then we could also just change the outlet mode, which again would kick off the auto. So we can do face, defrost the legs, etc. So that's a cool thing. If you mess around with your climate control a lot, it's really cool to be able to have it on the steering wheel. Over to the right side, so again, we still have those fixed buttons, and because of that, we still have things like following distance and driving assist mode. Those are fixed type buttons on there. But if we go to page 2, now we have our new stuff. So we have a sport mode, which now will change all the gauge and the driving dynamic to be very sporty, make that gas touchy, that sort of thing. And we can go over to normal if we want, which actually I wanted to see, if you double tap sport, it doesn't turn it on and off. So you need the normal there. I have that start and stop at the bottom. Again, I'm used to that technology now, so I probably wouldn't do it. But what I would do is the panel view monitor. I think this is genius to have this on your steering wheel control, because let's say you're in a driving situation where you're getting, you're at a red light and someone's getting close to you and you want to see, just bam, hit that button. If you're in gear, it's going to give you bird's eye view on your big screen, which I think is really cool. So this is how I would customize my setup for the steering wheel controls. Maybe I would change a few things as time goes on and tweak it a little bit, but I think it's really cool that you can customize it. Okay, so I know not everybody loves the steering wheel controls with the heads-up display and the intelligence system there. Give it a try. I promise you it gets better the more you use it. You do have to kind of lay it out the way you want and those sort of things. To some people that want those physical buttons, it might be tricky to adapt. But I have gotten a lot more used to it and I do really like it. So make sure you give it a try. Now over to the center. So in the center console, we have, our cup holders and our shifter. But let's zoom in sort of on these little guys here. So one of them is this little terrain button here. And really all that's doing on the screen is turning on that little terrain mode there to the left. And you can see it on and off with the little green light. That's what that one does. And it kind of changes the driving mode to be more focused on that. Then we have the traction control off. And again, we will see on the screen here that it does make it say traction control off. And that you're really only gonna use if you're really stuck in the snow and you want all the power going to your wheels. If not, it is very dangerous to drive like that and it'll kick you out. The auto off feature, you can override and turn it off. So the auto off is what I call it. So that when you're at a red light or a stoplight and your foot's on the brake and you don't like that the engine shuts off, you can override that. Then we have downhill assist. So really good if you're on a mountainous road and you want to save on your brakes a little bit, you do that. It'll keep it in a gear and control it that way. Then we have our parking brake. So foot on the brake, down will release it, up will engage it, and you can hear that doing its thing when you do so. For the most part, I just let that automatically do its thing. When I put it in park, I hear it apply. When I put it in drive, I hear it disengage. Then we have brake hold. So brake hold is a cool feature where you are, in a drive-through and your foot's on the brake and you want to give your leg a little bit of a rest. You hit that button, then you can sort of release your leg, give it a brake, and then when you hit the gas, it'll disengage that. Okay, now we have the new Lexus shifter. So on the shifter, the most important thing to point out is park is a button. So make sure you know that park is a button, and anytime you want to park, it's the button. Then to actually put it in gear, you put your foot on the brake. Over in back is drive. Let go, it'll click back in place. So again, over back, clicks back into place. To the left is neutral, and it'll automatically, it actually just popped in neutral even though the car's off. And then up, over and up, and snap back is reverse. Then we have a little manual mode. So if you just go straight down, that would put it in manual mode. And essentially you wouldn't shift up and down in this. You would use your paddles, which is, I guess, a button I forgot to talk about, is the paddle shifter. So we have a left, which is shift down, and then right, which is shift up. So you can see the little plus and minus there. And that's how you can override your shifting, is in that. Then above that, we have our drive mode. So eco, normal, custom. Again, when I press the center again. Then over to the right is sport, and then sport plus. And now I'm gonna show you all of those features in that exact same order on the TFT display here. So we have eco, then we have normal, and you can see it changing. Then we have custom, does a little change again. Then we have sport, and then sport plus. I always think it's cool that Sport and Sport Plus are very different on there. So Sport has like the circle with the tachometer. Sport Plus has, I don't know, that 1980s DeLorean vibe. I really like that. It's cool. So that's all that button does. Then we have our wireless charging port, which is not a button, so we're not going to talk about it, but it does open and close like that. Now we have our hazard and more vents. The vents are very textured and grippy, which is good. The hazard is something no one ever knows where it is until you need it. And it's really important as a salesperson, as a car salesperson, to show your guests where that button is. Because you don't want to be on the side of the road and be like, oh my God, my car's breaking down. How do I tell and you're like, opening your sunroof and pulling down your visor, when meanwhile you just gotta know that that button is right there in the center. So hazard's right in the center and it flashes as you would expect it to. Then the vents, again, so closed and then open to the left and right of that. Then we have our center button, which is the volume. So you can press and hold that. It'll reset the system if you ever needed it to. And it's also your volume knob. That's what that little power button is telling you, is that it is a power button and that this isn't a button, but this is. Then we have front defrost. So that'll fire up the HVAC system to really focus everything on the front. Then to the right of that is our heated mirrors and heated rear windshield. Okay, for the next button, it's actually the screen. Oh wait, a screen isn't a button, so we're not gonna do the screen. But I will say, these little dials are kind of a button and they're for the HVAC controls, they're grippy. That's how you do your climate. I know a couple people in the comments can be like, no, we want to know the screen. I have lots of video talking about the screen. Check out other videos on the channel, or maybe let me know in the comments below if I should do a 20-minute video on the screen. So let's move up, and usually somewhere in the car up here, there's usually a picture of me. Oh, there I am in the mirror. That's the picture of me right there. Below the picture of me is a few little buttons. So 3 little buttons for the garage door. So you can program home link to either one of those 3 buttons. There's a process online to do that. And again, it is a little tiresome, so just make sure you watch the video. The mirror's actually tinting right now because of the camera. I haven't seen that before, that's fun. So this is our sunglass holder. So you just press that button, it opens up. And because you're all here, I have to do this really satisfying thing, and I'm gonna take off this sticker. Ready? There's nothing better than taking off stickers off a brand new car. So above that, we have another little control panel here in the headrest. Kind of reminds me of being on an airplane. The first one is to move the panoramic roof shade. Because it's the panoramic, it does have a powered shade. And to do that, you just press and hold it forward, and then you can press and hold it backward, and it'll open and close that sunroof. Then to the right of that, we have the sunroof itself. So this opens it all the way. And you just press and hold it for a second, and then it'll do its thing. I'm just gonna cancel that. And then above that one is the crack one. So that one just cracks it a little bit. And then to put it all back, you just hit the car back. And I know not a lot of people look up at your sunroof, because I wouldn't either, but the buttons will show a picture of a car, and that'll tell you what it's gonna do. Then we have the door button. So this is for the dome light, the auto feature. So if that's not on, you're gonna come into your car at nighttime and it's gonna be too dark and you're gonna hate yourself. So make sure that that little green light is on. Then we have an SOS button. We're not gonna press that because that's how you get to the call center for Lexus Canada or US or wherever you live. And it's gonna call the call center. So if you need an emergency, there'll be an operator to help you. Then we have these little soft touch. I know they're not a button. These little soft touch lights. So one is like a map light, one is like a dome light. When you hit the dome light, it does all the lights. When you hit the map light, it's just the map. So that's an important little bit of info. Okay, so as I exit, I'm gonna show you. So there's another little button here. So on the center armrest, we can open it from each side with this little button. The other little button is the seatbelt button, which I don't think has been innovated or changed in many, many years. It's the same, and it's always been the same, and it might always be the same. So then we also have a button here to raise and lower the 3-point seatbelt. So just up and down, it just sort of clicks into place, and that's that. And then there's also another little button right here to remove the headrest. So you just sort of like press and hold that, and you can slide that up. I don't recommend doing that in driving, but they do say if you were ever in a car accident where you're in the water, you can remove this and then use the little metal to smash your window. But I wouldn't recommend doing that either. I don't know. Okay, so going into the passenger side now, very same exact door handle to get in. However, now we just have less buttons over here. So we just have a single up and down for the window, But again, half click and then all the way. Lock and unlock the electronic door latch. And again, you can pull it towards you. There is no memory seats here. So that is important that a lot of people forget to look at. And that's everything on the front door. On the passenger seat, we do have just forward, backward. We don't have lumbar anymore. So it does get rid of the lumbar, even on this F Sport Series 3 package. Then when you're sitting in it, you have a glove box, which you have to use your thumb to open. It's kind of like it opens that way type thing. In there, usually there's some books and things like that. But again, glove boxes hasn't really changed in a lot of years. So it's kind of the same. And we have a vent just like the others here. And that's pretty much it for buttons for the passenger. It's definitely a driver focused car. Okay, so getting into the rear seat. So we do have a couple extra buttons here. One of them being on the door itself. So right inside that latch is the child lock. So if it's down, the outside handle will be the only way to enter, exit and enter. It'll make it so that this handle you can't use. So down is the child lock. Very old school. They haven't changed that in forever either, even though now it's more electronic, I'm sure, than mechanical. Although it does feel mechanical when you press it, when you open and close it. So that's that. On the passenger rear, we still have the electronic door handles, lock and unlock, the window switch, and no power seat. You can't actually, power recline or anything like that. However, there is a way to recline in the top left corner. So this, you can actually recline. So some people think it's just for folding down the seat, but you can actually use it to recline. So just that little lever, pull it, you can push, and that makes it so you can recline. Then once you're sitting inside, we have a few vents in the center, as well as some USB ports and stuff like that, but that's not a button. And then this folds down. There is these headrests that you have to press. You have to press this little side button to get them to go up and down. So that's that. Oh, there is a dome light back here, so you can turn on and off that. Right now all the doors are open, so it won't override it. But if you needed to override it, it is right there and super easy to use. Okay, let's open up the trunk. So really good, simple way to remember where the button is for that. It's right under the X. So see where the X is? If we go under it, that is the little pad you're gonna put your fingers on to open it up. It's kind of like beside the camera. So X, button, you're gonna squeeze that on this package. Some of them are still not powered, but for this one it is. And then to close it, what you would do is press the close. Now this one is technically a way you can lock it. So it's like if you got everything out of your car already and you wanted to hit that button and walk away, once you start to walk away, the car will shut that and then lock. I have trust issues. All my friends will tell you that. So I always just like to press the closing of the hatch and then as I walk away, press the lock. But that's just me. Once you're back here, we have, some little hooks and things like that. There really isn't a ton of buttons. You can reach the levers from the backs of those seats. There is a lot underneath here, which I've done other videos in the past on, but we don't need to get into that too much. But what we will do is just hit that button and it'll close. And while we're back here, I might as well just show you the gas door because it's already open. So it does say premium unleaded fuel only because it is the NX 350. This clicks in place and you can just sort of like hang it up on its little hanger there. So that's that. Okay, so there you have it. I tried to go over every button in the new NX. I probably missed some because there are some digital buttons and I just miss things sometimes. But let me know in the comments below. It's my first time doing this style of video. If you liked it, let me know. And if I missed anything, let me know. And if you want to do it on any specific other car, let me know. I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.